Welcome to Ed's Place. Tonight we're going to do a little Chinese. The first dish we're going to do is a chicken dish. It's got broccoli, chicken, mushrooms, and a light sauce. Very interesting, very tasty. The next dish we're going to do is a dish with pea pods, red pepper, and beef in a chow sauce. Again, an interesting dish and very good. We're also going to do a variation of fried rice. Fried rice is a million different variations of it. Tonight I'll explain to you the variation we're doing. Very simple. I think you'll enjoy it very much. Thank you. Welcome to Ed's Place. Tonight we're going to do a little Chinese. I don't profess to be the greatest Chinese chef in the world, but these are relatively simple dishes. And I'll explain to you as I'm doing them as I'm going along. One is a dish with beef, another is a dish with chicken. And depending upon the time and how quick them dishes get done, we might do a dish with rice. Some things you should know about Chinese cooking. It's very hard to cook Chinese food in a residential home, because Chinese ranges are entirely different than a range that most people are accustomed to. They're called wok ranges, and they generate heat anywhere from 800 degrees to 1200 degrees. Now that's hot. That's about twice as hot as the average home range will get, you know, when you turn it up. In fact, your self-cleaning ovens that you have to lock and take all kinds of precautions with and everything else, generally you only get up around 700 degrees, maybe 800 degrees. They cook at that temperature and higher. And I've worked in a couple of Chinese kitchens, and not as a chef, but in my other profession, but I got to know the chefs and I watched them. So it's a little different. Like, for instance, they don't pre-blanch their vegetables. All their vegetables are raw, and they usually cut to uniform sizes. But with the intense heat that they get, they can cook them very, very fast. Whereas at home, it would take you twice as long to do it. And if you had one of them fancy electric woks, it'd take you 3 times as long. So to begin with, I blanch my vegetables before I use them, because of the fact, as I just told you, about the heat. I use a hammered steel wok. I was talking before this show with one of the fellas, cameramen, and I told him, I think they actually make these things out of old 55-gallon oil drums, because it came from Taiwan. It's a very inexpensive, but it's just a steel wok. And that's all they use in the Chinese kitchen. So don't buy yourself one of them fancy ones. Get a cheap steel one and season it right, and you'll have all you need. All right, that's pretty hot now. I've had it on for a while. I'm going to add, probably a good tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half of, I just use vegetable oil. You can use peanut oil if you want, but I'm just using vegetable oil. Now we're going to do the chicken first. This is a chicken breast meat. All I did is I bought some chicken breast and sliced it up myself, rather than buy that stir-fry. What I did is I went in, I saw how much the stir-fried chicken was in the weight, and then I went over and I found a package of chicken breasts the same weight, and found out I could buy them for less money, and I took them home and just cut them up myself. Why bother, you know, paying for somebody to slice it up? It's very, very easy to do. And so that's what I advise you to do. The same thing with the beef dish. What I did is I went over and saw what the stir-fried beef was going to cost and the weight of it. Then I went over and I bought the equivalent weight in steak for less money and cut it up myself. This initial cooking of the meat, all you want to do is sear it, and because you're going to put it back in and cook it some more. So with chicken, you just want to get it white. That's all. Keep it moving too. If you could ever see the chefs working in a Chinese kitchen, it's a magnificent thing to watch. They're like ballet dancers. They can do more work standing in one position in 2 minutes than you or I can do in an hour. They're really something to see. I'm going to take that chicken off now. That's done enough. Put the wok back on, let it get hot again. Add a little oil to it. What this dish is going to have in it is chicken, mushrooms, broccoli florets, ginger, garlic, and a little chicken stock, some soy sauce, and cornstarch. We'll add a tiny bit more oil to this. Add about a teaspoon of chopped ginger. This is fresh ginger. If you don't have fresh ginger, don't use that other junk, that stuff that's dried, because it's an entirely different thing. So don't even bother with it if you don't have fresh ginger. And it's easy to get. You can buy it. All the supermarkets have it now. Just the smell of it alone is something. And the same thing applies to the garlic, as I told you in other shows, is don't let it burn. All right. I'm going to add the mushrooms now. We'll toss them around. Now, this was a real wok stove. Right about now, the mushrooms would be done, believe it or not. But it'll take a little longer here because we don't have anywhere near that kind of heat. Also could use a little bit more oil too. This is not the way to do it, but we'll cheat a little bit tonight. There's a film on Great Chefs of the World. I don't know if anybody's ever seen it on television, but if you ever get a chance to see it, they go to this fancy hotel in Hong Kong, I think it is. I think it's the Peninsula Hotel. And there's an old Chinese chef there. He does about 5 dishes. It's absolute poetry in emotion to watch the man. He's just, it's marvelous to watch him. That was fresh broccoli I put in there. It's been blanched. I blanched it exactly 2 minutes in boiling water. And it just takes the crispness out of it so that when you're cooking it, it gets done. You don't have to overcook it. But that is when you're stir frying. Another thing, you could probably notice that I'll probably use twice as much meat in my dishes that a Chinaman would use when they're cooking. We're accustomed as Caucasians of eating a lot of meat with our meals. They're just the opposite. They eat probably more vegetables than they do meat. And by the way, you don't need a wok necessarily to do this either. You know, you realize that you can do this in a skillet on top of the stove. Preferably a cast iron skillet would be good, because a cast iron skillet holds the heat well and it gets hot. But it's not necessarily that you do it in a wok, but I just feel it's not Chinese unless you do it in a wok. Now, what I'm going to add to this is a variation of a chow sauce. It's soy sauce, a little sesame oil, some sugar, and a tiny bit of sherry and chicken stock. That's one variation of it. There are others. There's another one there I'm going to use in another dish that has oyster sauce in it, and actually it has more sherry in it than this dish here does. Relax the chow sauce now. I'm going to make sure that that cornstarch is all I know people that make up a basic chow sauce, and they'll make up a quart of it, and they'll keep it in their refrigerator, and they use it in stir fries, and I don't know if making it up advanced like that is a good idea, but they claim they don't have any trouble with it. But I know that when you work in a Chinese restaurant, the chef has all this stuff within reach. And he'll just go over and he'll take a dip of this and a dip of that and a dip of this, and dump it in the thing. He does it in milliseconds. It's just amazing to watch. If you like to cook like I do, and you ever worked in a Chinese kitchen, you'll be absolutely amazed. Absolutely amazed. What you want to do now is let that sauce come to a boil, and the cornstarch will thicken it up, and it'll put a glaze on the vegetables, and then this will be complete. And there's no rule as to what you can put in these dishes. This dish had a few slivers of red pepper in it, would give it a little more color, although this green of the broccoli is nice and bright. A lot of times I'll shred a carrot and put carrot in it, take a carrot and shred it into relatively large pieces and put it in there. My son eats a lot of Chinese food. He likes lo mein. It's a dish they make with, actually it's nothing but spaghetti. It's Chinese noodles, and they mix seafood with it in oil, and it's a nice dish. But Chinese food is one of the original cuisines. It's probably the original cuisine. And they were doing this 2,000 years ago, allegedly. And it's really enjoyment to watch Chinese cooks work and eat Chinese food. I have another business, and it's a plumbing and heating business, and I get into a lot of houses, and there's several Chinese families in this area, and I've been in a lot of their homes, and it's amazing when you go in there. There was one house here in Winchester that I get in frequently, and the mother-in-law of one of the adults there lived there, the older person, which is common in Chinese homes. And she would get things ready for the meal in the morning for that evening meal. And I used to be amazed at the amount of food. She could serve more people with half the food that I serve my own family with. And she probably fed them better than I feed my family. Her food was probably more nutritious than my food. But that chicken that I cut up in here, she would probably get 10 servings out of that in a dish like this. Where in my house, what I got in front of me here would be lucky to feed my wife and I. If my son got involved in it, my wife couldn't eat that night. But it's amazing what they do with food. And they use a lot of seafood, too. Just let that thicken up a little bit more, and we'll dish it out. In a Chinese restaurant, he would have been done with this dish 5 minutes ago. In fact, he'd have probably done 3 dishes in the length of time it's taken me to do this one dish. They deep fry in a wok, too. They do everything with it. Well, that's one dish. It's chicken and mushrooms and broccoli in a light sauce. It's delicious. You'll have to excuse me for a minute. I'm going to rinse this wok out, and I'll be right back. In a Chinese restaurant, they do that right on the stove, right where the chef is. There's a faucet. They rinse the wok out, and then they just spill it right on top of the stove, and there's a drain on the stove, and it all runs off in the drain. It's an amazing thing to see. All right, the next thing we'll do is we'll do a little beef. Add a little oil to this. In all these dishes, just about all of them, I use a little bit of ginger and a little bit of garlic because, especially the ginger, it just gives you that flavor that's, there's nothing like it. That's why I say don't use powdered ginger if you don't have fresh ginger. What this is inexpensive steak is I cut up into strips. And I got more steak for less money than you'd buy, you know, if you were buying that other stuff. Again, this much meat would feed in a Chinese household, would probably feed 6 people. As you know, because Chinese food is a big thing in this area now, has been for a number of years. But now you get into Szechuan, and you get into all the different types of Chinese food, and you get into Thai food now, and Vietnamese food, and there's a lot of similarities about it. A lot of that food now is very hot. They use a lot of chili peppers, and it isn't like in the old days. Everybody thought that chicken chow mein and you know beef chow yolk or something was all there was to Chinese food. Now you can get stuff that's so hot that it'll burn the inside of your mouth off. You also do a nice thing with fish, too. They cook a whole fish. There aren't too many Chinese restaurants around that offer it, but there are a few around that do offer it. And they serve it with a sweet and sour sauce or a scallion sauce. It's really something. Something you won't get at McDonald's, I'll tell you that. This meat is just about done. In the plate, Eddie, in the plate. Let the wok heat up again. We're going to pull with this now with some pea pods and red pepper that have been pre-blanched. I like pea pods and I like red pepper. The idea of the red pepper actually in this dish, you know, would be the flavor difference would be no different if you were using green pepper, but the red pepper adds to the dish. About a tablespoon of minced ginger, you know, a shy tablespoon of garlic. I love the smell of that ginger when it's cooking. When we have Smell TV, you'll be able to smell it too. These portions vary, you know, you can judge it yourself. This dish here probably will feed, oh, I don't know, 3 people, maybe 4. The idea of dishes like this is to cook 2 or 3 of them. And then like you do in a Chinese restaurant, everybody has a little bit of each dish. And try and make them, you know, as different as you can so that you get a little different flavor. And as you get into this, you can get a little daring and try different things, whatever you want to try. They add scallions to a lot of their dishes. You can add some chili peppers and make it hot if you want to. They have several green leafy vegetables. I like Chinese celery cabbage, for instance. And they have bok choy, I suppose everybody knows what that is. And various other greens that they use. They use a lot of vegetables, a lot of greens. And their dishes are delicious. This is a variation of a dish. I always thought it was a Chicago dish. It was beef chow yolk. I know I used to get it at one of the local Chinese restaurants, and I enjoyed it. Now the sauce we're going to add to this, as I said, chicken stock, Chinese cooking wine or sherry wine, sugar, soy sauce. This has got oyster sauce in it. It's a special condiment. You can buy it in either supermarkets, and has a particular flavor to it. And, it's called a chow sauce, as I explained to you before. See, we're running into a heat problem like I explained to you at the beginning. Now, if this was on a Chinese stove, as soon as that liquid hit there, it would start boiling immediately because of the intense heat. And it will reduce very, very fast, where in this particular dish here, it's not going to reduce that fast. It's going to take a minute or two for that to start reducing. Which won't affect the flavor of the dish a lot, but it does. It just takes a little longer for it to be done. Well, that's reducing. We're going to take a little break and I'll be back shortly.
We're a part of your town, a picture of the things you do, working 24 hours every day to keep the signal coming through. We're Continental.
All right, what I'm going to do now is a fried rice dish. Now, fried rice is nothing but leftover boiled rice that you cook up the next day. If you want to make fried rice, that's what you're supposed to do. Cook the rice the day before, let it get as dry as possible, put it in the refrigerator, and then the next day, cook it. Now, all I'm going to use with this is some bacon that I blanched. In other words, by blanching bacon, you take the flavor of the bacon out. All you're going to get out of it is the fat. That's what you want. I'm going to cook the bacon with a little butter. And I got a mixture here of chopped celery, chopped mushrooms, and onion. You can put anything in it. These will just be vegetables in here. You can put little shrimp in it. You can put diced salt pork in it. You can put diced roast pork in it. You can put pieces of chicken in it. Anything you want to put into it. There's no set pattern or anything. It's great. It's great. It's another one of them dishes. It's easy to do, and I know I almost put some oil in there. I don't want any oil in there. Could have put a hunk of butter in there. The wok is a little hot, but that's what you really want. We'll dump the bacon in. You say, why use bacon? I never had it in a Chinese restaurant. Well, this is something we do at home. Generally, you always have bacon in the house, and it flavors the rice good. And you could use, I say, you could use salt pork if you wanted to. But I find a combination of the bacon and butter, and then toss the rice in that, and add the rest of the stuff, and it gives it a nice flavor. You could put green pepper in this. You could put pieces of carrot in this. You know, put anything you want in it. We'll just toss this for a while, let it heat up, and then we'll throw the rice in and add some soy sauce to it. And something else I would add to it I don't have with me because I forgot it, but would be some sesame oil. I love sesame oil, the flavor of it. The first time I tried to make fried rice was several years ago, and I tried to fry the rice, and it was humorous. My mother came in and asked me what I was doing. My mother was a great cook, and she knew a lot about cooking. And here I had dry rice in a pan with some fat, and I was browning it, and then I was going to put water in with it, and I thought I was going to make fried rice. Nevertheless, it was a disaster. Another thing, too, when you you first start cooking. You tend to use a little too much cornstarch, which is not a big deal, because you can always add some more liquid and thin it down. But some of the earlier dishes I made, I had enough cornstarch in there to, you know, it wasn't a sauce, it was a glue. Every morning in the Chinese restaurant, when the chefs get there, this is one of the first things they do, is they take the boiled rice that was left over from yesterday, and they usually have quite a bit of it left over because they cook it specifically for that, and they make the fried rice of the day. Sometimes, you know, in a real big restaurant, they'll have 2 or 3 different varieties of it. All right. There's about, oh, I don't know, 2.5, 3 cups of rice there, whatever. Mix the vegetables in with it. You want to heat up the rice and let that butter fat and bacon fat coat the rice too. In fact, I probably could have a little more fat in there, but I think there's enough in there. I could have added some garlic to that mixture too. I had some right here and I didn't. I don't know about ginger. I guess I could add ginger to the fried rice. I've never done that before, but the garlic wouldn't hurt it at all. Would it help? Garlic doesn't hurt anything. It's just about ready here. We're going to add some sauce to it in a minute. This is light soy sauce. Doesn't mean it's light in color. It just means it's light in salt. Because as you're probably aware of, there's an awful lot of salt in soy sauce. Now you can add as much or as little as you want. We'll call that 6 tablespoons. I don't think it was quite that much, but you ever notice in a Chinese restaurant, you ever see Chinese people eating rice and you never see them eating fried rice? They always eat boiled rice, plain boiled rice. That's one of the things I don't agree with them on. I agree with a lot of their cuisine, but that eating plain boiled rice to me is like eating newspaper. And I don't eat newspapers. That's about it. It's fried rice with some onion, celery, a few mushrooms in it, a little soy sauce. You could add anything else you wanted to it. There you have it, fried rice. And we have beef with pea pods and red pepper and a chow sauce. And we have chicken, mushroom, broccoli, and a light sauce, a light chow sauce. That's the show for this evening. Thank you.